pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence. I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded and televised by the local cable company. And I'd like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum, now is the time for anyone to speak, if they want to speak on something that's not on the agenda. Sean? Well, you know what?
We're short of mic.
I'll have to get down and bring it down there, find out why.
Obviously, I've been concerned about a 5-year capital plan for some time, but just recently, last weekend, I was reading through the 2015 annual report, and it seems like on Article 38 at the town meeting at that time, there was an article that was passed that specifies the new capital advisory committee, or capital advisory committee, I think as it was done away with, and a new committee was formed, Building Facilities and Capital Expenditures Committee, which is pretty specific in the article about what their description is and what they have to do. One of the things that it specifies is that there should be a 5-year capital plan submitted to the Board of Selectmen by January, request for capital expenditures submitted to the Board of Selectmen by October 1st, which obviously, had I known that, it kind of shame on me, but had I known that, you know, I wouldn't have been pushing the bylaw per se, because there's already specific information in our current regulations, as I understand it, that has been passed at town meeting. So I guess my major concerns are, one, that does exist, and it doesn't seem that we've been upholding that. Two,
You're absolutely right, we have. And Frank will, in his administrator's report, deal with some of that. He accepts the responsibility for our not having that report. And you're right. There was a change in committee, and we were supposed to get a report, and we didn't get it.
okay. And I guess I appreciate that. You know, accepting responsibility is certainly a big part of, I guess, why I'm here now. The implementation of what's in the article, I think, is important. Yeah, I guess I'll wait and listen to what he has to say. But thank you.
Okay, while you're there, though, I was going to address you during my report. I don't go on Facebook a lot myself, okay, but people make me aware of what's there.
Sure.
I do read the Whitman Express. I get mail from the Democratic Town Committee. And so I've been aware over the last couple of weeks of this kind of Debbie Downer act that you've been playing about the success or lack of success of the Board of Selectmen and other people in governing the town. And I just need to cast some balance to that.
Sure.
Not in the forum that you prefer, social media, but I'm an old-fashioned person. When I teach, it's a whiteboard now, it's not a blackboard, but I write on a blackboard, on a whiteboard. You know,
One of the things
I don't do PowerPoint and all of that. So I'd just like to speak to you orally now. This is the way our system is sort of set up. We have an open town meeting that once a year that governs the town. We have open selectmen meetings every 2 weeks in which we speak to the town, speak to each other, make motions,
Sure.
sometimes
Something
vote
that's
them up,
beneficial
sometimes
with
vote them
this
down.
new mode of communication that's out there is the ability to stop and do research and respond thoroughly. And that's something I appreciate, something that is difficult to do even in this forum. I like the opportunity to speak. I'm still an old school person. I love town meeting. But this new form of communication that allows us to do a little bit more depth, there are people who use it for superficial reasons, but that hasn't been
Well-
me. That's not my purpose.
Yeah, and it's there are some dangers to social media, as one of our members found out on the selectmen over the past week, and not. And Randy, I'm not singling you out for any kind of thing right
It's all
now,
right.
but
We can get into
I'm
that.
positive.
Now that you brought it up, we'll definitely get into it.
I'm
Thank you.
positive.
Thank you.
I'm positive that Randy.
I'm very happy you brought that up now.
Well, no, I don't think you did.
I welcome the discussion.
Okay, I don't think
We're gonna
you
go, the route we're gonna go, I welcome it,
Okay, no,
okay?
no, seriously.
That was a very bad choice of words on your behalf, but if we're gonna have it, we are definitely
What
gonna
was,
have
what was
it.
the bad choice of words?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish up the
Anyway,
grading.
it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
People can hijack your Facebook personality and send the wrong message to people. That's what I was going to say, Randy. I can't. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Anyway, to suggest that the history of the Board of Selectmen has been one of incompetence or whatever, or recklessness, it just doesn't meet the facts. We've basically had, and this will only take a couple of minutes.
Do you mind, and I'll get a chance to respond?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. It won't be finished until Frank gives his report, because he has some things to say too. Our basic goals over the last number of years have been to keep our taxes low during the time of the recession, to lay no people off, to address major capital needs. And I think a look at our history will show that we've done that. If you look at the tax rates in Whitman over the past 9 years, to those of 16 surrounding towns, some of which are more like us than others, we've ranked since 2008, 2010, 11th, 10th, 11th, 10th, 11th, 14th, 13th, 15th, and 12th out of 18, with one being the highest tax rate. So we've been in the bottom part of that group. We've satisfied the goal that we had. Since 2010, we've added $3.61 to our tax rate, which puts us 10th out of 18. In 2018, our average single-family tax bill ranked 15 out of 18, with one being the highest and 18 being the lowest. So having that goal, we had a goal, and it was basically met. We haven't laid anybody off during and we've heard Dan Salvucci say that over and over again, what we don't want to do, lay anybody off during this time. But I'm not talking about the schools right now, because they have a different structure. What have we done as far as capital needs are concerned? Built a new high school, police station, K-8 renovations, renovated town hall and firehouse. We've accomplished all of that over the past number of years. But while we've laid nobody off, and we've only hired 5 people in the last 10 years, we've added 5 people to the town government in the last 10 years, and actually 4 of them this year. There was only 1 in the last 10 until this year when we hired 4 firemen. Over that time, we are short-staffed. We've only hired 5 people over the last 10 years. We're short-staffed, and that comes at a cost, and that keeps us from doing some of the things that I know you would like us to do, and that we would like to do as well. You're right. We need to do better with respect to formalizing and writing our planning and operating procedures. We do. We have to do better at that. That's why our assistant town administrator is working on procedures for the selectmen themselves. That's why I've been working on a personnel and policies handbook for what seems like forever. As far as operating procedures are concerned, planning and operating procedures are concerned, we've started to do that. You know that we've started a process which is going to get us to a strategic plan. Can't be done overnight, and you've heard me say that before. As far as the capital plan is concerned, Frank will have some things to say about that, some actually exciting things to say about that. And I hope that you listen carefully to what he has to say, because it could be important, not only to the town, but also to you. And that's all I want to say. I just want to leave some balance to the picture that has been drawn lately, because I'm not sure it's a fair picture.
I guess I'll keep it short. A fundamental point is we are in crisis. There is a big deal right now. There are a lot of people, good people, whose jobs are on the line with what we do over the next year. You are a good person. I have no personal hard feelings about anybody on the board. Honestly, I don't. But I think if we take a hard look through a business lens at the way the organization has been run over the last period of time, and each of you has been a member of the board for an extended period of time, I think you can't objectively look at that through a business lens and say that this organization is being run well. I just fundamentally disagree. You didn't inherit this. You didn't get elected last year. You have been in this position for an extended period of time. We don't have a capital plan, a 5-year capital plan, and it says in a specific article that was voted on not too long ago that we should.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big mistake. There's no strategic plan. I appreciate the fact that you're working on it now, but to start working on a strategic plan when you're in the midst of crisis is much different than doing so 5 years before crisis, which helps you avoid that. There's no financial policy. You said you're working on that now, but again, if these things were worked on years ago, it would help us avoid this current situation. So again, personal feelings aside, through a business lens, I think we're putting a lot of people at risk because of the lack of planning. And to me, that really is reckless. So I appreciate you speaking up and saying that you're taking ownership of that. I have said before, I think a sense of urgency about these things would be helpful so we can move through this process sooner rather than later.
I think it's probably the level of crisis that we're going to disagree on. I'm not sure that it helps the town to say that the sky is falling at every opportunity, because I don't think it is. We didn't get here overnight. That's true. We didn't get where we are overnight. But if you do look at the past, if you do look at history, if you do look at the goals that we've had, they're goals that have been put a positive stamp on our plans at each town meeting. We've been doing basically what the town has asked us to do. Well, you know, I used to be on the school committee. I'd probably be giving a different speech if I was still on the school committee, because when I was on the school committee, I would be screaming and hollering about the amount of funding that the schools get. We give the schools as much as we possibly can, and you know we gave them more this year than a lot of people wanted us to. And that, in some ways, may have contributed to what you call a crisis. I can't yet say that the situation is as dire as you say. I'm not saying the situation isn't serious, but Frank will have some things to say about that, too.
Thank you.
Okay, so, thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda?
Kind of a follow-up. I've only been here, my name is Mary Fox. I live right in the church on the corner that's been converted to apartments. How shall I say this? A new police station, air conditioning in the town hall, 3 extra firemen. Anytime I can, I vote. I was opposed to air conditioning an old building. I know it costs money. I'm a pretty frugal lady. The next thing is we don't have air conditioning in elementary schools, and those aides and teachers had to go back and get ready for the kids. It was ridiculous. Okay, I've offered to give them hand fans and desk fans and everything else. No one considered them for air conditioning, and their buildings are a lot newer than this. The next thing is a new police station. I'm not certain. The next thing, I checked the police logs. I'm a research librarian. I checked the police logs, Everybody gets a warning, pretty much, and the next thing, they round around the park at least once or twice a shift. They also make stops at the schools, and I'd like to know, where is the revenue coming in? I don't mean exactly a quota, but then again, why not? I want to see tickets given out. I crossed this street up here where it's only that flashing light. People are speeding, people are doing whatever they want. I'm a pedestrian. I think I have rights too. The next thing is, there is a crisis. When there is more than $1 million budget gap, if there's a $100 or $200 gap in my income, I can tell you right now, Mr. Rosen will be a little alarmed, because that means I got to squeeze somewhere to get his rent. Okay? That is not going to happen, because I planned. If my rent goes up, I cut back. I don't want anyone, I've been up here about the trips. Now I want no trips. You thought it was bad, I didn't want you to go out of state, and you pulled the fast one. The guy already got his permission to go out of state. Now I want no one going anywhere. You know why? We have to cut back. How many times do I have to say it? We have to cut back. I don't want them to lose their jobs, but I do want them to freeze their wages. Period. And don't tell me it can't be done. I taught in New York City for 25 years, and there were many years that our wages were frozen. And let me tell you where the kids come in on all of this. You say you used to be on a school committee. Well,
No, I was on the school committee.
right. Good. You also taught at Massasoit. We've been all through your resume here.
You know,
The bottom line, do I not like it?
be careful.
You're not number one on my top 10.
Oh, I know, but just be careful, because we're gonna shut you off pretty soon if you keep.
Well, I thought this was America. My
Because
father.
We've heard something.
How many vets? Raise your hand. How many vets up here at this table?
How many what?
Veterans. You don't even know vets. How many veterans at the table?
That's not material.
It is material. It's my right to speak. That's why my father fought, okay, and was wounded and everything else.
I'm a veteran and I maintain everybody's
Well, I asked you to
right-
raise your hand.
Excuse me. I maintain everybody's right to speak, but when you start.
Well, all I'm going to say is,
Start casting personal comments.
reckless was not inappropriate when you're over $1 million in a crisis. You started the word picking. You said reckless is in it, and being on the internet. I'm not a big internet person either. I'm a face-to-face. I'm down here at meetings. But the bottom line is this. I got up, I said what I had to say. The fast one was pulled. I didn't like it. I know when I'm being taken, okay? I'm almost 72 years old. I don't go for this kind of crap. I just don't. The bottom line, gentlemen, you do the right thing or you don't. And I'll see that you're out. And you have been here for years. These two young men over here, I think, are recently new. This man is paid. When I came to my very first meeting in the town hall downstairs, I said, who's in charge of the money? What the heck is going on with the money? There are only 150, the quorum, and people were deciding on pensions, wages. That's not the way it's done where I come from. And the next thing is, and I'm not going back where I came from, I'm staying right here and straightening this out. Like a pit bull, I will be on it. You can check my thing in New York City. I don't take no for an answer. I don't take it can't be done. I don't care we should have done it yesterday. I'm the person that says we should have done it yesterday. I've been here now, it's been 2 months. That girl, young lady from Bridgewater, came and did the survey. That was August 15th. Then there was another meeting that lasted all of a half hour. Then I don't see any real progress here. I don't even see energy. So I'm going to just say it is reckless. It is a crisis. Over $1 million is a crisis. And you know what? People aren't even going to recognize it until they wake up and smell the coffee and say, Jesus, we got to pay for the new police station? Holy mackerel, the air conditioning is still costing us money. I thought that was a done deal. The 3 extra firemen? I didn't realize that was going to cost as much as it does. Wow, what's happening? And, that's what happens. I don't really completely blame you because it's apathy that brings this on. If people don't pay attention, come to meetings, the only thing is, guys, you signed up for this. There are too many parents that are working 2 jobs, that have children that can't come. See, I don't have any of those things. I'm retired, so I can be here all the time, 24/7. And if that's what's necessary to get the job done, that's what I'll do.
But at some point, what we'll have to do is to get you to say something different each time, rather than the same thing over and over
Well,
again.
if you pay attention, I wouldn't have to be repetitive.
Oh, just one quick question, though, and I hate to ask you this. You don't know what the old police station looks like, do you? You don't know what, you don't, do you?
No,
Okay.
but I know this, when I went over to picket about the no pot, I went to the window and nobody knew even, are you bringing a crowd? What are you doing? What do you mean you're picketing? What do you mean this?
Okay,
Where are
that's-
you gonna be? I expected, they looked like they were out of high school. And I didn't know that the police officer here could pick who he chose either. Where I come from is civil service only, top man
Should
wins
directed
the
that
job,
guy up at the
not your elderly friend.
Chief, you're at the podium. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, there is, because this is a great country, and no matter how rational or irrational we may think somebody is, everybody gets to speak. I will tell you that, number one, to even question the integrity or the character of anybody on the Whitman Police Department, I find insulting, okay? You get up and everybody has a story and everybody has a journey. And I've heard yours over and over. I've heard about New York, I've heard about teaching, I've heard about everything that you have done to turn everything around, but nothing that's positive. All you do is you get up here and you take shots at people. You take shots at departments, you take shots at personnel. It doesn't get us anywhere. But I will stand up here and I will defend the police department about no quotas and we don't do this and we don't do that. Today, we arrested a homicide suspect. Good police work. That's what that was. That was good police work. The residents in this town can take a lot of confidence in knowing that the people that serve the police department in Whitman serve it well. Okay, so for you to sit up here and just take these arbitrary shots at people, I have a problem with a person who rises and sleeps under the very blanket of freedom and safety that we provide and then questions the manner in which we provide it. I'd rather you just said thank you, myself, okay? I don't know where we're going with all of this, but I will tell you, this town may be in crisis, may have things going on, I don't know, but I am confident that I grew up here. I've lived here my whole life. So we always find a way. There are good people here. I don't want to speak for the fire chief, but the townspeople voted for 3 firemen. Not the fire chief, not the Board of Selectmen, not the town administrator. The people voted for those firemen. And to get up here and start talking about like we're just recklessly, putting people on jobs and stuff like that, I'm offended at. Okay? I've heard enough of your story myself. Okay? And for whatever reason, you have a problem with the police department. So, you know where we are. You can come over anytime. My office is open. I'll sit. I'll talk to you. We were in the basement of this building. We had 6 cells. 4 were condemned. We were stepping over wires and everything else. We only waited 60 years to get a police department. And this town figured out a way to do it. So it really wasn't an option because the next option was we were going to be in a trailer. So I like the fact that everybody can dig and do research and throw things out there and post things up. But at the end of the day, we're all going to have to work together. So by offending people or attacking people, nothing's going to get done. All we're going to do is divide each other. And when we're divided, we're going to fall. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, you got applause. The chief took part of my report away. I was going to say to the chief that it's getting to be a regular thing at our meetings to praise the police for something that they've done. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, they arrested 4 people who had drugs and guns right across the street. And then today, they arrested a man who was wanted for murder. We don't do enough to praise our police. And I was going to do that as part of my report, but thank you, Chief, for standing up and saying exactly what you did. The only other part of my report that I was going to make had to do with the Whitman Hanson Will meeting that I was at. Actually, it was last week, 9/18. The next meeting is on October 19th at 10:30 in the morning at the high school. One of the things that we learned at the meeting last week was that there's a meeting tomorrow that's going to involve, at the high school, it's going to involve 4 chiefs, 2 fire chiefs and 2 police chiefs. And they're going to be meeting about safety at the school with the school personnel. And they're also going to be discussing the Handle with Care program that is coming through the opioid coalition and the DA's office in Plymouth County. What the Handle with Care program is it's a, and the chief has actually talked about this before, although maybe not in so many words. When you go into a situation in a house where there may have been an overdose or some drug problems, there very often are young children there who are being affected by what's going on in their family. And the program of handling people with care, especially children, is one that's gaining an awful lot of traction in these 2 towns. I was going to mention the officer's name, Chief, that made the arrest, Mark Poirier.
Yes.
And it was excellent police work, and I want to thank you and the department for that. That takes care of both the public forum, I think, unless somebody else wants to talk. And the approval of meeting minutes will be next, and then we'll go right to the town administrator's report. Open session on August 15th.
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Open session on September 11th.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, before we do the administrator's report, Randy, you want to talk, I guess? Did you want
You know
to?
what, we're gonna save it.
What, you want to say?
We're gonna save it.
We're going to put it in later on?
No.
Okay, that's
Area.
fine. It's, I hope you understand what I was saying.
That was a foolish comment.
What?
That was a very foolish comment. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine, fine.
From you, it was a very foolish, well, I shouldn't say that, because recently that's been a string of foolish comments. But I guess it's just something I'm gonna have to accept.
Oh, okay, fine. Frank, you want to change the mood?
I'll try. I would like to address some of the comments that have been made relative to our capital planning and our operations. I think the best way probably to do this is to just illustrate what we've done over the last, let's say, the last 10 years. The town has worked cooperatively, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, myself as the town administrator, to identify each year what our budget priorities and what our capital priorities are. I will take fault in 2 things: that we have not reduced it to a written plan, and that I have not filed the plans for the last 2.5 years. It's not January yet. But I want to make note of some of the things we have accomplished. Every year, we deliver a balanced budget with appropriate funding for departments and spending based on priorities. And if you look at, for example, 2014, this is money spent either to purchase equipment, improve buildings, or service debt on the project we previously committed. So as you look at it in 2014, schools, we spent $956,000 on schools. That's a combination of debt service on the high school and equipment purchased for the schools. We spent $1,289,000 on town. That included debt service for a project we completed in 1999 and a project we completed in 2011. We spent $53,000 on vehicles for the town. We spent $189,000 on fire equipment and vehicles. We spent $692,000 in debt service on new water mains. We spent $246,000 on repairs to pumping stations. And we spent $329,000 on roads. Now, I could read each of the years, but we're doing similar things. Within the ability to pay for the things that we're doing. I want to point out that the most significant source of funds for capital improvement, by and large, has been our free cash. In 2008, with the town almost literally under the gun to provide a safe and appropriate working environment for the police department, we presented a project to town meeting. It would have been presented as a debt exclusion. However, at the time, we only had 4 selectmen, and one of those 4 refused to vote to present a debt exclusion. Ironically, under state law, it only takes 3 votes to present an override, but it takes 4 to present a debt exclusion, presumably because how long it runs. So we were unable to do that. Collectively, we made a decision to present it to town meeting. We held a special town meeting on November 17th, 2008. 265 people attended that meeting. That's more than we usually get at a special or annual. The presentation was made by then Finance Committee Chair Bill Capozzi. An explanation was provided to the meeting that if we move forward with this, the debt would have to be serviced within the levy limit, and the source of funds would be free cash. We had a history of recurring free cash, and we still have. 223, or 81%, of the people at that meeting voted yes for that project. It was something that was considered necessary and had the support of the community. Our job, well, your job as selectmen, is to represent and make decisions for the community based on your knowledge and what you become aware of in dealing with the public. My job is to implement the decisions that you make. To say that this wasn't planned would be a misstatement. Our process has always been, and continues to be, we estimate revenue. I know a comment was made that we don't, but we estimate revenue every year. And we have a 5-year projection. 5-year projection, as you go further and further out, becomes less reliable. But the bad news is, the only growth in that revenue, the only significant growth in that revenue is 2.5, which is the increase in the tax levy. So if we want to go further, then we have to present a request that has to be acted on at a town meeting and then acted on in an election to raise the levy. The other alternative is to reduce the budget by reducing services and people. I mean, those are the choices right now. There's no other magical revenue option we have. I spoke earlier today with the Finance Committee Chair. We're going to meet next week because he wants to get a jump start on budget requests. But we also talked about this. And while it may not have been a formal plan, and it may not have been the plan that some people were looking for. That's the plan we adopted. Sean Kane and I talked about this in a finance committee meeting. At that point, he said it was a foolish decision. I don't know if the word was foolish or it was something to that effect, to use the free cash in that manner. But that's not my decision to make. That's not even your decision to make. That's the town's decision to make. And that's what happens at town meeting. Mary, at town meeting is anyone who's registered to vote can show up. We can't do business unless we have 50 voters. That's an annual meeting only requires 50 voters. And if 50 people show up and 26 of them want to do something, then that decision's made. At a special, because it's not a regular meeting, it requires 150 voters. So that's the process. That's what an open town meeting is. People have their own options to speak. Sean, you're correct that we made a change to the bylaw in 2016. It has been a challenge to make that system work. I presented a outline to the building committee last year. We did not have a consensus or willingness to put forward a capital plan until we had numbers. It's a way of thinking, and perhaps we need to change it. On the plus side, I did apply for and did receive 2 grants from the Community Compact, a program that the selectmen signed up for almost 3 years ago. They're both best practices requests. The first one is a financial management approval, which will assist us in preparing a capital improvement plan that reflects community needs, set up to be reviewed and updated annually, and to fit within a financing plan that reflects the community's ability to pay. And the reason I asked for this grant is I have no idea how we're going to do it with our current tax revenue. So I'm looking forward to working on that. The next item is a financial management package that establishes budget documents that detail all revenues and expenditures, provides a narrative for the benefit of the people, and priorities and challenges and clear and transparent communication of all financial policies. Both of those things are important. I want to give Sean credit for focusing on that as directly as he has. And frankly, I'm not going to ask for an answer now, but Sean, I'd like to extend an invitation to you to join the Building and Facilities Capital Committee and to take over my position as chair of that committee for any number of reasons, but most importantly because I never wanted, I couldn't get him to vote anyone else.
Before you speak, Sean, Frank and I have discussed this, and we both agreed that you're joining that committee, and if you would, assuming that the role of chair would be a good move for the town. Not asking you to say yes or no right now. Don't want to put you on the spot, but we have had some discussions about that. And, the invitation is there for you to let us know when it's time for you to let us know.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I think the 2 initiatives from the Community Compact sound excellent.
It's Commonwealth Compact, actually. It's a program.
I did say community, it is
Yeah,
Commonwealth.
It's Commonwealth Compact. It's a program set up by Governor Baker when he came in, which allowed towns to vote to select people to vote to join, and it opened up revenue sources for us that weren't open before.
Sure. That sounds great. This year, I'm not interested in playing a role in the committee. I appreciate the invitation. Maybe next year, but I feel like having Frank as the chair, and obviously with your support, I don't think you have trouble getting 3 votes, and the Finance Committee seems like they're on board. I know Mr. Cadero's on that committee, so I feel like you have the critical pieces in place to make decisions quickly and to get action done, So I think my role in that might just confuse things, honestly. If I'm being blatantly honest, I think,
Be blatant.
By all means.
well, no, thank you, but maybe next year, not this year, but I appreciate it. So I'll stop with that, thanks.
Okay. Anything else in your report, Frank?
That's it for now.
You exhausted? Okay, budget review, Scott.
All right, so we have our,
Do you mind putting that off until, we're like really late on the planning board meeting. Do you mind, because you have to be here anyway, right?
I think I do, yeah.
It was way past 7:15. And we have a joint meeting with the planning board for the purpose of interviewing the following candidates for interim appointment in order to fill 2 vacancies on the planning board expiring in 2020 and 2021. Elaine Bergeron, Jerry Blumenthal, and Adele Carey or Carew? Carew. Okay. Would you like to explain the process?
Well, first and foremost, we're a 5-member board at the moment, and town has voted to sequentially reduce members by 2
Microphone.
years
Frank,
to get down to a 5-member board because of our lack of quorum.
Frank,
Right.
the microphone.
Microphone.
Thank you.
You, they won't hear you.
Long enough for us.
Going out on the air.
Yeah.
So our board is going to be a 5-member board after the next election. And in doing so, a quorum would be a 3-person vote to have a quorum. And I don't even think it's on.
I think it is.
And our quorum is mandatory so that we can even open mail and address bills and get bills paid. Let alone talk to developers or anybody who has an open business. Conduct any kind of meeting. What I wanted to do, and I sent an email up, what I'd like to do is have, first and foremost, I'm grateful that people are looking to come on the board. We're always looking for people to come on the board. Every time I ask people what their intentions are when they don't show up to meetings, I tend to lose them quickly. We get a letter the next meeting and they're gone. But I'm grateful that people are looking to come on the board, and I welcome them on board. But to save us, in the event that say we fill 2 spots, one of them resigns because it's just not for them, and we go through another search, I have a couple people out, I can't have a meeting. I can't do bills. And we only meet once a month, and in the summertime, it's even worse because we skip months. So when we sit down to have bills, I have late notices from developers and engineers, and it gets to be a little bit of a mess. So I'd like to have the definition changed so a majority of active board members, not sitting positions, active board members would constitute a quorum no less than 3 members. That could get us through, but that's something we probably have to have legal counsel review.
Unfortunately, that would require a statutory action. It would require home rule legislation because the quorums are established by law.
Okay. Well, there's a shot. So here, what we have is 3 applicants who are looking to come on, and that's why we're having this joint meeting, so that we can hear each one of them tell a story about themselves. The position doesn't require any surveying experience or anything like that. You have to just be somebody who can read through rules and regulations and ask questions. And there's no such thing as a dumb question. You look at plans and say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? We as a board help out other members. Our engineers help out members. So there are no solid background requirements other than somebody who wants to participate and is available every other Tuesday for our meetings. Now, I might not be 100% correct. I thought we needed to have a quorum to vote.
No,
We do not?
we did seek
For this?
council advice on this. The quorum is a majority of the 2 boards,
Okay,
so we do have a quorum.
okay. All right, I did want to have Sheila have some input into this, but if it is something we do tonight, we do that tonight. We can listen to the applicants, discuss their background and their desire to be on the board. We and yourselves may ask questions of the applicants, if there are any, or we just absorb what they have to say. And if we do take it to a vote, it's open meeting vote, and we can have that unless someone wanted to have some kind of other discussion to sort anything out, whether it be open, or I don't know if we can go into executive session, if that's even allowed at that point, but nonetheless, we hear what everybody has to say, and then we can make a vote on which direction we're gonna go for 2 positions that need to be filled. Now, the 2 positions that would be filled, one of them disappears after the next election because of the reduction of the numbers of the board by town vote. And the one appointed person, one of the 2 people would have to then run for election to fill the seat that would be vacant.
Right.
So as long as they're aware of that, we can explain it once they come on board as well, to make sure that they get their signatures and get on the ballot so they can be voted in. Plus, that ballot's also open to anybody who wants to be on the board. They don't have to be any of the appointed members. We've had times years ago where we've had 5 people running for the single position, so.
Would you be more comfortable if your other member were here to take action on it?
I would have liked her to have participation in it because she's very active in the board.
Because we could
we
listen
do-
to what the people have to say this evening, ask any questions that those of us might have now.
Yeah.
And then come back at the next meeting, hopefully with Sheila here, and take a vote then, if that's something you'd prefer to do.
If we're undecided at that point, I mean, I'll leave it to my other fellow members and yourselves to decide that. I have no problem with that. Like I said, I would like her to participate in it, but we also have positions we have to fill.
All right.
So if we have to do it in a meeting, getting both boards together is not always an easy task as well.
Okay.
Because
Mr.
we
Chairman?
still have meetings we have to handle as well.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Blumenthal had to leave due to a family emergency, so
Okay.
he is no longer present, but he is interested in serving on the board. In light of that, perhaps we interview the
Maybe interview
2 tonight. and-
Elaine and Adele tonight, and then at our, next time we can come together, we'll have Mr. Blumenthal here, and we can finish it that night. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think we can do that, and what we can, if we can do it, is after you have open meeting, we jump right into it. That way, we can go
Yeah,
down
we
and
can
conduct the rest of our
we can-
business at a later
First
start
on the
date.
agenda.
Yeah, okay.
We can.
Perfect.
I'm sorry for the delay tonight.
That's okay.
Okay, the first person on the list here is Elaine Bergeron. Elaine? And I think we're gonna have to move this mic again.
What I'll do is ask Elaine to
Oh,
sit here.
all right.
Join the crew over here.
Maybe you want to run for this board.
Pardon?
You want to run for this board.
You never know.
You look like a natural.
Okay, Elaine, I'm gonna get to ask the first question, because it's
Okay.
the easiest question to ask. What interests you in joining the planning board, and while you're going through describing your decision to run for the planning board, could you tell us something about yourself and your background and
Sure.
your history in town, et cetera?
I was born and raised in Whitman. I did move out for a number of years and lived in Abington, went real far. And I also spent a year in Australia. I've served on the Finance Committee in the 70s. I've been a member of the Whitman Hanson Scholarship Foundation for about almost 40 years, president twice. I'm currently a Senior Vice President Director of Personal Insurance for a large insurance agency. I have about 50 people who report to me indirectly, 10 who report to me directly. I do a lot of, obviously, reading of forms, insurance contracts, talking to customers, consumers, figuring out what houses are worth and how they should be insured. And the reason I want to be on the board is I want to get back involved in the town. I'm getting close to retirement, so I'll have more time. I've spent most of my last 32 years creating a career. I'm single, so I had to support myself. I live at Auburnville Way, which I very much enjoy, and I came back from Abington to be there. I never really left Whitman, being on the scholarship board. That's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. I guess one of the main questions I've seen what your qualifications are, and I like the fact that you work for an insurance company, and you deal with the values of homes and things like that. You can look at contributing the values of property that people want to build. I guess my main question is, we've had members join the planning board, and then when it came time to rerun, they decided not to. What are your plans in the future if, in fact, you are selected to sit on the board until the next election and it's time to rerun?
Well, as I understand it, one of the positions is going to fade away. I'm not looking to say whether I want to run or not at this point. It sounds like it's 2020 before that's going to come up, or is it this May?
This May,
Oh, okay.
right?
No.
No?
20 and 21.
Oh, your position, that's right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
In the very next election, so in 2019.
20. This says on our paperwork, it's 20 and 21.
You stay an extra year away.
Okay, all right, that's different.
Whatever.
My position expires with the May
I get it.
town election.
Okay, sure.
Of 19.
I honestly don't plan to not run. I'm getting too close to retirement, so I think I'll have more time.
So you're planning on running, re-upping to,
Right. I intend to be here for all the meetings. I've been at every meeting of the Scholarship Board when I was an active member. I'm currently a retired member from the board, but actively work in scholarship fundraising. I'm at work every day, so I'll be here. If I commit, I'll commit.
good, thank you. That's the main thing I'm thinking.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I do, I know Elaine personally, I've known her a long time. She actually worked with my brother for many years. I know her work ethic, and I know how knowledgeable she is in her business. So I would say that I can vouch for what she just said is very true.
Thanks,
And
Ryan.
I just want to thank you for coming forward and being one of the volunteers that we don't get very often.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody have any questions?
I just have one question. I just have one question. You stated in your resume that you volunteered for 3 different positions over the years. The Finance Committee, the Scholarship Foundation, and being an election worker. Is that right?
That's fair.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I also taught CCD, if that matters.
Eventually it will.
Yeah, the position, it's not only a paid position, it's a volunteer position, but
Absolutely.
it is, we do have some lulls where it is very quiet on some nights. We have some nights where we're going through a lot of plans. We have town meetings where the last meeting we had a full house for a development that was going in. So we do peaks and valleys. And in our meetings, there are times when I may get called away for work, traveling somewhere, or somebody else might be out. That's why we have the need for a quorum.
Sure.
Right now, if we do that, we can't have a meeting. So if we weren't here tonight, we would have showed up downstairs, we wouldn't have had a meeting because one of our members isn't there, we wouldn't have a quorum. We can't open the meeting at that point. So the importance is that we're looking for somebody who will be able to be at all the meetings. It is very difficult to say whether or not you want to run for election.
Right.
At that time, you got to get a sense for it.
Right.
And see if it's something that you enjoy. The members on the board have been outstanding. I mean, they're great people to work with on the board. And they come with all different aspects of looking at designs. You know, we review applications for zoning board, and we make recommendations, and then we look at plans for subdivisions. Your development is a single lot that goes to zoning board, so that's a little bit different. But there's a lot of opportunity to see a lot of different things and weigh in a lot. And based on just being able to look through the rules and regulations, look at the plans and see what's presented, open up the door for questions, and sometimes that just makes the rest of the board start to think. So,
Sure.
it's really not a question, but I'm just more or less making a statement as to what the position is. So
No, I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming and talking to us tonight. And if anybody else has any questions?
there anything else you would like to say to sort of like seal the deal for you?
Just that I'm interested. My parents lived here, my grandmother came here from Ireland when this town hall was built. I have a lot of pride in the town, and I would very much enjoy it.
Okay. More importantly, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I think I have a pretty good feel.
Okay.
I'm going to learn a lot, and I do think I bring some good tools as far as housing is concerned, not so much commercial. I'm a personal lines person, but I'm more than willing to learn.
That's one of the misconceptions. A lot of people think we have say in the houses. We really have the property, the streets, making
Right.
sure the DPW gets what they expect to get.
Absolutely.
And then it's just an envelope where the house would go in, so.
Right.
A lot of people think that, it's more a preference that when we vote on what we like. It's really not.
No.
It's rules and regulations, and if there's any exceptions and clarifications that need to be made, we work with our town engineer that
Your
we hire
engineer.
for the developer to see what their take is on it, and then we make a decision based on that, so.
Sure.
There's a lot of give and take that goes with that.
I've actually come to a couple of your meetings recently to get a sense of,
And that's good. That gives
How-
you a good sense of what goes
Right.
on with them, and you were at one of the crowded meetings, so that was very good.
yes.
So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Frank, you want your seat back?
Next.
Okay, next. Adele Carey. You're up. Good evening.
Good evening.
Would you like to make a statement as to why you would like to be on the planning board? A little bit of your history that led you to that, making that decision to join.
I graduated Abington High. I've been 56 years on Kenwood Drive. I worked at the polls for 45 years. I've been a warden in Precinct 3. Wayne Andrews has been canvassing for positions on the board, and that got me interested. Also, the billing that's going to go on in my area. I went to a few meetings because it involved me, and I got really interested in it. And that's why I thought I would like to try to be on the board and see if I would fit. They tell me what to do, I'd be willing.
Okay.
I've only missed one election in all those years, so I would be here. I wouldn't be missing, that's for sure.
Terrific. Thank you. Anyone else have questions?
I'll ask the same question I asked the previous one. Would you, if in fact you are chosen, would you re-up and go for, sign up to be elected?
If I
To fill a
thought-
full term? Huh?
If I thought that the board thought I was adequate enough to do it, I would.
I like that answer. Very good.
Well, I would just like to thank you for coming forward as a volunteer. Like I said before, we don't get many volunteers for these boards that are not elected and certainly not paid. So anytime we can get citizens to come forward, we really appreciate it.
And I would say I've known Adele for quite some time, and she is someone who has been committed to this town, and her children are committed to this town, and I thank her for everything she does.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you the same question I asked Elaine. Over the years, you've volunteered for 3 different positions, is that correct? You were in the kindergarten aide in the schools,
Yeah,
you worked
12
in the
years,
school
yeah.
cafeteria,
Yep.
and you've been in a precinct election warden for about 40 years. Okay,
If I can do something for the town, I'd like to.
Now, I know Wayne can talk to you, trying to get you to consider joining the board. And you've been to some of the meetings because it directly impacts you. Is your interest because of the way you saw the meetings conducted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, because if there ever comes in a situation where we're talking about where you are, particular property, sometimes we need to look at that, and we can talk about that at another time, but I appreciate you coming in and showing your willingness to come onto this board, and as everybody has said, we're grateful the volunteers come to fill in this position. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll come together probably at our next meeting, if it
I
works out for
think,
you.
yeah, the next meeting I think would
You
be,
know,
would be
we'll interview
fine.
Mr. Blumenthal and then
Yeah,
take a vote.
yeah, as long as he can make it. If there's something where, if he's tied up and he can't make it, we'll just have to schedule it for the next
Right,
meeting, but I think we can do that sooner than later.
right.
Hopefully, we can fill that position, those two positions.
I have a question, Carl.
Yeah.
If in fact, we have a meeting later on, is the door closed for anybody else to come in who would want to maybe consider it? If they're watching this meeting tonight, is
The
it,
door, I don't think the door is ever closed until the positions are filled.
right, okay. I
So
mean,
even, I'll just put this out there, so if anybody's listening, that if those positions are filled and somebody is interested in the
Always
position,
run, yeah.
send in the paperwork. I mean, it doesn't hurt, because if someone finds out that they're on the position and they don't like it, I can't hold them to come to a meeting that they don't want to be part of. So, just say, one of these participants drops out. We have one vacancy. Well, now we have some additional applicants that might be interested, and we start the process again to fill that. Now, it may be that we select 2 out of 3, and the third candidate's the strongest, but if I get 5 more applications in, I'll look at all those other applications with that remaining candidate fresh for the first time again, just to see who would fill the position better.
Great.
Just a question, okay?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for being patient.
My pleasure, thank you for having us.
And thank you for being patient. Okay, budget review. Scott Lambiers.
All right, well, or I have reached out to several people on this budget working group. We're going to meet October 1st, 7 o'clock, Town Hall. Hopefully this room is going to be available. I'll put it. Thank you, sir. So we will, I'll post an agenda because tomorrow, or I'll ask Laurie if she can post it. And some of the items on the agenda basically will be introductions. I want to sort of just give everybody a feel of what we're here for, what we're going to do. Some of the items are going to be important dates and milestones, meeting schedules, level of detail that we're looking for. What we're expecting out of the different boards and groups. So it's certainly one thing that I'll put out there tomorrow, and I'll say it again now, is it's not meant to be any sort of indictment on anything that's happened or that we have any feelings about the way things have been going on, but it is definitely something that we just want to get and establish a procedure that will be a living, working document that the town will have, that we can use every year going forward in our preparation for the budget season. So we're looking forward to that, and like I said, it'll start Monday night, and hopefully, I don't expect to spend a lot of time on it. I think there'll be a couple of meetings with most of the folks involved. We have some people from all groups. The finance committee is involved, the school department will be involved. Obviously, this board, some folks who work in town hall. I think what'll happen is we'll get a consensus on what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. We may end up meeting in subgroups or letting subgroups work some stuff out and then getting back together. And eventually, I'd like to get some sort of a document that this board looks at and votes in as a policy. So, again, it won't be something that's permanently carved in stone. It'll be meant to be a living, working document that, will change from time to time. But so that's where we're at.
Does anyone have any questions of Scott? No. Okay, thanks, Scott. Community assessment, Frank, is there an update?
Yes, actually, I received an email this morning from Dr. Tarsi, who acknowledges that she received the additional comments I forwarded last week, and also received some comments from Fire, asked if there were any more, and indicated that, I assume in the next few days, we will see a penultimate draft.
Penultimate draft, okay, good.
Yep, I've never seen that word before, so I wanted to use it.
Next to last.
A penultimate. Leave it to the English professor.
Okay, terrific. Dick, you wanted to say something about the Old Colony Planning Council?
Yeah, last week we had our MPO, and Metropolitan Planning Organization, meeting in Brockton, and as everybody may or may not know, we are having, there will be a Route 18 and 27 and a Route 18 and 14 project going on in town, where they'll be tearing up the intersection, widening it, changing the signalings, repaving, and changing things to alleviate some of the traffic blockage there, and so things will work smoother. And we'll, on Route 18 and 27, we'll be putting in a brand-new water main pipe while it's dug up, so we'll get that done. It's what, the original water pipe, I think, Frank? How many years old, so,
Wood.
huh?
Wood.
Yeah, probably would. So, I mean, that'll just, it'll solve two problems. We won't have to redig the street up. And District 5 will be doing that, we'll be paying for it. The bids are out, they'll be open on November 20th at the, in Boston, at the Transportation Building, at Park Plaza. I don't know if it's open to the public, but those are those where I go to my meeting for MBTA Advisory Board. And the project is estimated to start of the spring of 2019. So we're talking about after this winter. They're hoping that's the schedule. But like everything else, schedules seem to slow down sometimes when things don't go right. So be advised that the spring, right after this winter, come spring, you may see a lot of traffic changes around.
They're not planning to do both at the same time?
No,
are they?
I think they'll probably do one and the other.
Are they both part of the same bid package? or
Same,
separate?
same process, yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Well, the same package or two separate bid packages?
Well, it's listed under the same package,
Okay.
so it should be interesting. I never thought about that. If they're gonna do, I would think they would do one and then the other, just move it down.
Well, they're gonna cut the road, the contractor will cut the road in each case.
Yeah,
There'll be a separate contractor to lay the pipe,
yeah,
but
so.
it'll be a combined project.
And, right, and if you may, can I make a couple of announcements? South Shore Votech is having their open house on Saturday, October 13th, from 10 to 1. If any parent is interested in their children going to vocational schools, that's when you'll be able to go and take a look at the school and see what it's all about. And in case anybody hasn't seen these flyers around town, we're having 10 to 3, we're having the Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show. That'll be at the middle school.
Next week then?
Huh? So that should be good. I don't know if you've seen it, but
That's,
it's,
Not next week.
that's not next week.
was it, Sunday, October 7th,
Yeah.
with the rain date of the 14th. It's $5 a person, and it's $10 a family, and it's sponsored by Whitman Recreation. And I guess the money goes to Dollars for Scholars, I guess. I think, am I correct on that, Dollars for Scholars? The money's that's collected?
Yes, actually, Whitman Recreation is teamed up with Dollars for Scholars, and the money will go to the Whitman Recreation programs and
Good.
Dollars for Scholars. So all the proceeds go to those two excellent
So it should,
programs.
if you like antique cars, it's the place to be.
Yeah, bring the kids down with Halloween costumes. We're going to have Halloween trick-or-treating, and we're going to have quite a lot of very cool cars showing up.
Okay.
So it's going to be worth the trip.
Be any IROCs?
There will be one.
That's it for me.
Okay, anything on the policies or procedures, Frank?
Not today.
New business, vote to appoint Kenneth Lytle as town accountant through June 30th, 2019. Frank?
Yes, Selectman Lamatina and Selectman Bezanson and I interviewed a number of candidates. We narrowed it down to 2, and we made the selection last Thursday. And we would like to present and recommend for appointment Kenneth Lytle, who's a Whitman resident and has a number of years' experience in accounting, and has familiarized himself with the odd thing called municipal accounting. So, Mr. Lytle, I'd invite you to step up, and we'll introduce the members of the board. Selectman Randy Lamatina, you've met. Selectman Scott Lambiase, Chairman Carl Kowalski, Vice Chairman Daniel Sullivan, and Clerk
Salvucci.
Daniel
Salvucci.
What did I say? Sorry.
Hey, that's an Irish name, I'm Italian.
Dan Salvucci and
Get the knife out of my
Clerk
back, will you?
Brian Bezanson. I don't know why that came out.
But I'll tell you there, Sonny.
I'm getting old. And of course, Kenneth. Ken is a BC grad, has a strong background in accounting, is ready to come in, roll up his sleeves, and get started on October 9th, and is looking forward to joining the finance team and assisting us in our estimates and the wonderful world of accounting.
Now, do we need a motion?
We need a motion.
I will make a motion that we accept him as our new town accountant.
The
Second.
appointment, the motion
The
for appointment should, for the fiscal year 2019, and then on completion of that, I would suggest that the board consider a 3-year appointment, as we have with the previous accountant.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Do you have anything you'd like to say, Ken?
Just to thank you very much for considering me and approving me for this position, and I look forward to working with you and the rest of the town in the years to come.
Does anyone have any questions of Ken? The committee has already made their recommendation, but
I would just like to add that in our discussions, we made it clear that this position now, I think going forward, is going to be a very important part of how we look differently at our financial picture. That we are kind of changing our focuses a little bit, and he understands that. He's ready to be involved with all aspects of the new things that we're looking at. So I'm happy that you're on board.
okay, anyone else have anything they want to add?
We would expect Ken to start on October 9th, and when we meet in executive session after this meeting, we'll be discussing the employment package.
Hearing nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ken, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you.
Act on the request of Charles E. Castro to be reappointed to the position of constable in the town of Whitman for a 3-year term to September 16, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are all his papers in order? That lengthy?
Scott returned it, right? Yep.
Chief had no problem with it.
All right.
All those in favor? Act on the disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest as required by general law, Chapter 26, 268A, Section 23B3 for Building Commissioner Robert Carmen. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Discuss Whitman Liquors receiving a Keno monitor, no vote is required. Frank, you want to?
Yes, anytime a business seeks a Keno license from the state, the board is notified, and it is the option of the board to either review and take no action, in which case it is approved, or to file an objection with the state. Not aware of any reason why we would object to this.
Set the October meeting schedule. Suggestions?
16th and the 30th.
Pardon me?
16th and the 30th,
16 and 30?
that would work.
Before Halloween.
Yeah, I don't have any objection to that.
Okay, 16 and 30 it is. Okay, old business. There's a couple of things here that we put off from the last meeting so that all of us could be in attendance. The Whitman-Hanson Regional School District amended agreement, and then a request to authorize repair for the Conley School and discuss the repurposing of the small playground at Duval School into a parking lot. We'll do the amended agreement first. Frank, you want to introduce this?
Yes, as you know, the agreement for the regional school district is on its third revision. I went through the entire agreement to identify any changes in process and presented an outline to the board showing those comparisons. Some of them are subtly different. One is significantly different, and that is the provision for withdrawing the K through 8 part of the district. I did look at the requirements for DESI as well as the town requirements, and while the existing agreement gives us the right to terminate the K through 8 portion of the agreement, rules and regulations adopted by the state and by the Department of Primary and Secondary Education have dictated now that any change from the region to individual schools would require the approval of the DESI group, and ed plan, and satisfactory funding to provide for a divorce, so to speak, for the K through 8 system, which is really the most challenging of the provisions, should we insist on maintaining that provision.
For discussion, would someone like to make a motion that we accept the agreement, the amended agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Has the school committee seen this, Frank? And, I mean, we've made adjustments.
We have made no changes since the last draft.
Okay.
And this is the draft, this is the agreement that's being presented at at Hanson's town meeting next Monday.
Because their selectmen have accepted.
Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the agreement?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I don't, we haven't changed anything, so.
3-2. 3-2, we can let the school committee know that it's been passed. Now, act to authorize an unanticipated repair for Conley School, and hear a request from Ernie Sandland to repurpose a small playground for Duval School into a parking lot. Frank?
Mr. Sandland has decided to withdraw
There you go.
his request for the parking lot work at the Duval School, and will instead present it as part of a capital request to the town with more detail in terms of what they want to do and how they want to renovate the site.
And then put it off till next year, so you won't do them anyway.
It would have to be next year, because
July, yeah.
we're not planning on another meeting short of some
So we
requirement to
kind
do
of
so.
talked him into it's not being an emergency.
I would say he's accepted the idea that it's not an emergency. And as far as the Duval School goes, I would recommend,
That was at Duval School.
I mean the Conley School, I would recommend that we vote to advise the school that it will be requested at a town meeting when next we arrive. The work is being done, it is identified as an emergency, and I think the board should vote to confirm that it's urgent work that needs to be done, and
And that's the $5,000 rooftop unit.
it was more than 5,000.
I thought it was 5.
Thought it was 50, let me find it.
We'll get the bill.
Started at 5.
Yeah,
It's,
I think it was like 5,600.
5,000.
All right, well,
It's 5, it says 5 here.
I thought
It's
they said a little more.
page 41.
Well, if it's under 5,
it'd be nice.
it's,
49.99.
Pointless. I think we caught them the last time that happened.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion further? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, around the board, do you have anything, Frank?
Just the executive session?
Okay. Randy?
Oh. I'm good.
I already did my round the board.
Okay.
Good.
We need to go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. 3, to
And
discuss...
Mr. Chairman, we don't need number 3.
We don't need number 3. Okay, we need number 7, though,
I'm sorry,
right?
we need the strategy for non-union, and that's
Yeah.
all we need tonight for executive session.
We...
And the accountant.
Oh, we don't need the last one.
Correct.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a
Second, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, we'll come back in open session only to adjourn.